Greetings and welcome to Geeks First. Today we're going to talk about Flesh and Blood History Pack 1. All sorts of interesting information has been kind of coming out, and I just wanted to kind of touch on this interesting white border set that is going to be coming out very shortly, actually. So this pack or box is going to have 36 packs, so this is information we do know. It's going to have 1 rare or higher, 8 commons, so basically a total of 10 cards per pack. Which, if you compare that to the traditional 24 card boxes with 15 cards per pack, you're still getting basically the exact same amount, 360, so 24 times 15 or 36 times 10. Because of this, and known 427 cards in the set, this is going to be interesting. So let's kind of look at some of the numbers. So WTR, Arcane, and Crew are going to be the sets this is composed of. And as we look, the total number of cards in those 3 sets combined is 614 total cards. We do know that the set is going to be a total of 427 of those cards. We are aware that there will be no Fableds, so there are automatically these 3 are going to no longer exist, in reprint form at least at this stage. So we know that these are going to be out, like those. Of the legendaries, there is a total of 12. Now, obviously, they had announced that there were going to be 9. So we have 0 legendaries, 0 fableds, 9 legendaries, 62 majestics, 0 super rares, which means those have been upshifted, which means that the total 30 that existed, because there were 15 in WTR and 15 in Arcane Rising, but there were none in Crucible, means that the total majestics in the pool are going to be something along the lines of about 86 if you combine them all together. So all the super rares and majestics, now there's a total of 86. The average per set, which is what this line is here, this is the averages per set. So we averaged 4 majestics per set, or 4 legendaries per set, 19 majestics per set, 10 super rares per set, because again, one set didn't have them. 51 rares and 120 commons, and then we had the 10 tokens was the average. But since we're not really worried about the tokens, I think the commons are going to be skewed probably more so to the class-specific and key generics, like I would assume obviously things are like that have been banned, such as your Plunder Run and Drone of Brutality. I do not believe those are going to be accounted for in this, but I think that we will be going back and looking, and I have another page here I'll pull up in just a second, but I think we're going to be seeing a heavy lean skew toward the majestics. With the 9 legendaries, here's my theory. The Tunic has been revealed as one of the legendaries. Now, if we go and take a look at the list of all of the available legendaries that would come in these sets, let's go ahead and get over here. There we go. You have Shiana, Arcanite Skullcap, the Cross Strap, 2 different tunics, Grasp of the Arcanite, Mask Momentum, Braveport Bracers, Storm Striders, the Teclofaun Heart, which is my favorite because that's my dash boo, Scab Skins, and Tectonic Plating. Realistically speaking, and as much as it sucks, I think Shiana is not going to be in here, and hear me out. If you only get 9, we know that the Arcanite Skullcap was already in Everfest, and it is the doled down version, and as they have kind of stated in several of these press releases and even in the Fab 2.0, which I will have another video, we'll talk about the Fab 2.0 in its entirety, because it's inconceivable that is not been talked about. I know I have not done a video on it, but everybody and their mother has, so I'm sure you've read it by now. But that came out in Everfest, so I'm going to assume that has been axed, taken off, because there's no sense in reprinting it again, especially if Everfest Unlimited is coming. That's going to be another printing, which will drive that price even lower. So if you can get that, that is their version of making it easy to obtain. Tunic, there are 2 of them, and because there's 2, obviously they only need 1. We've already seen that there's at least 1, so I will opt to say that this one's out. So that means that there's 1 left. The only oddball out here is Shiana. So while Shiana is awesome, and I love Shiana, I have mine sitting right here. I am a big fan of Blurred Shiana. Woo! I love this. This is hilarious because apparently my camera is blurring it out. Sensitive information. But anyways, I feel that because she's a shapeshifter and not a core staple for players, which this box is a for players box, she's probably out of the running. Which means your 9 winners are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I believe those are the 9 legendaries that you will see in the Hero Pack 1. History Pack. Hero Pack. They should have called it a Hero Pack. I think Hero Pack's a little bit better, but History Pack 1. If you think any different, put it in the comments below. We'll talk about it further. Now, as we get into this a little bit more interestingly, the 427 number is a 70% marker of the total of 614, meaning that of the total 614 total cards that could possibly exist, and yes, that does include the Fables, yes, that does include all the legendaries, Majestics, Super Rares, everything. So out of all the options, it's 70%. Now, if you were to subtract the Fables out of there, so if we just were to just hypothetically do that, it still doesn't affect the percentages very much. You're still at 70%. So basically, this is 70% of all the available sets that are out there for WTR, Arcane, and Crew. So your first block, your initial print. Now, the total missing is the column that I have below here, and you'll notice that what this is taking the announced and subtracting it from the total. This makes sense because we've accounted for those, so I'm not really concerned about that. Now, why is this -6? Well, because you have 56, but they announced 62. So because of that, I feel that some of the super rares have either been downshifted, so this is the hot take, super rares have been both upshifted and downshifted. I believe that the way this is going to work is some of the super rares were deemed maybe not worthy of being a Majestic in the new scope of understanding, and they'll be downshifted to the rare. Some of the examples of those super rares, which we're going to go ahead and pause the video here for a second and I'll switch over. Okay. Some of the super rares, such as Maximum Velocity, I believe have been upshifted or possibly downshifted. And if we were to take away all the Majestics and just look for super rares, you'll notice that a lot of the super rares, as an example, Become the Arknight has been spoiled as an upshifted Majestic. So we know that some of these have gone up, but Rusted Relic, as an example, this has either been probably omitted, or I would say it's downshifted to a rare. Even Pursuit of Knowledge, things that are really not necessarily used very much would be there. I would imagine Crazy Brew is going to be in this. Remembrance is, is useful. There's a lot of these cards that have seen play, and I'm not positive whether or not we're going to get all of them. I think the problem with this is that if you look at the total number of both Majestic and super rare cards, there is a gap in the ability to have all of these. So does that mean that, obviously Twinning Blade, this is the extended art version, it's not going to be in there, but the regular Twinning Blade would probably still be something that's in there. Visitronic Model I, is that something that's going to be reprinted, because that was only printed, I believe, specifically in the Crew. So yeah, there's not going to be another variation of that, but it's so hard to nail down which ones would be specific and what they're going to omit. Things like Enlightened Strike, obviously they showed Command and Conquer. It's going to be real interesting. So as we look at things, we understand that, there's going to be some cards omitted. So because of that, if 30% of the cards are not going to be there, that's going to be what differentiates, not only from the reprint perspective, but that's going to be what differentiates your official WTR cards, official Arc and Crew cards from the reprints. And that 30% will help probably determine, as well as scarcity, what some of the original Arc, Crew, and in WTR boxes, the unlimited ones at least, will shake out with. The fact that there's no cold foils in this, is either, or even no foils at all, is either a pure stroke of genius or not. I'm not really sure. I think that not having foils in this means that you're going to again, you're going to have the investors try and grab maybe the black label versions of these because of the fact that they're going to be limited to run, but those are country specific and probably going to be a lot harder to obtain. I'm pretty sure I can't order, an Italian first print run here in the United States versus, or a German first, print run. I'm assuming those are going to be intra-country. So I don't think that we'll be seeing those around as much. But from a collectability standpoint, I, for one, would love to have one of each sealed, just to have as a memento to what that is, both of the black label and as the unlimited variation, just to have. But that's because I'm weird and I think it'd be fun. But I also want to rip open all these and get all the singles I can. And then that brings into the next thing. This box is $140 MSRP. So with map being somewhere in like the $112 range, somewhere in that ballpark, the value does have to be here. But I don't know how that breakdown is going to exist, because inevitably bringing more cards into the market means that those values of those cards are going to be lower. So if you start looking at the value of the average Majestic, average Legendary, average Super Rare, average Common, where does that put it? I don't necessarily think this is as much for the US based individuals, other than possibly stores getting this that are going to be, for lack of a better word, maybe ones that didn't pick the game up initially. And because everything's out of print, you have everything from all 6 sets, Everfest all the way down, is all out of print. They have to have something to put on their shelves. This is a great way to get folks into the game, although it is not necessarily what I would recommend that they buy to get in the game. I mean, right now it'd probably be easier to go out and buy off of, sadly, your non-local gaming store, but, via TCG Player, a box of WTR, a box of probably, Monarch or Tales of Aria, the draftable sets. I don't necessarily think I'd recommend somebody starting off with a box of Crew or a box of Everfest, at least not at this time. And on top of that, when you go even a little bit further down that rabbit hole, it's now what class do you pick to start with if you have nothing? Like, so if you start from nothing, and you're in this gray area between now and when the next set is going to release, Uprising, is Uprising going to have a throwback to other classes that came before it? Or maybe is this the supplemental way to support Uprising with the generic cards that would exist in here and whatever comes in Uprising to support new classes, but Uprising will not have any prior classes at all? Maybe it's all just going to be brand new classes, and that would be awesome. I don't know. This is definitely very interesting. It's a lot to take in, but overall, I have been doing some very interesting number crunching and trying to figure out where things are, and overall, I think everything's in a great place. But we'll definitely see as more comes out. I have a couple more videos that are lined up that'll be coming out soon, and I greatly appreciate you hanging out with me and taking the time to watch these videos. So like, share, subscribe, hit that bell button, and again, thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate you, and until next time, have a great day. Bye.